Come in, everyone. Come in. Don't be shy. Welcome to the Norwell Motorplex. I tell you what, you better strap in because this could be a rough ride. We're here at the Bumper Bar. Russell Ingall, Paul Morris, bench racing about motorsport. Well, all things about sport. Hey, this is our first show, Paul. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is good. So the name of the show is bench racing, and it's a common term we use in motorsport for when you finish racing through the day. You grab a beer and you sit down and you talk about what happened.
Now, I want to explain what the show's about to start with, because this was requested by you guys. It seems like there's a bit of a gap between everyone that's associated with motorsport in general, and there seems to be more questions than answers from the punters. And when we look at all the forum sites and everything we look at, that seems to be the common theme, you know. And I think it needs a couple of Eddie the experts here. And look, when you take what we've done, both not only Australia but overseas as well, Paul. I mean, look at you with all your American stuff. A little bit of experience there.
Yeah, you've done a few trips overseas too yourself, mate. So I think we've got a good knowledge base, good experience to give the people what they want. And for me, it's no secret that all the major categories throughout the world, Formula One, MotoGP, Supercars, they all control their own TV production, and the reporting can get a bit vanilla, so we're going to spice it up a bit.
I think you're being a bit nicer there, because that's what it is. I mean, and that's when I look at everything and all the questions, and I'm just a punter now. I'm just a punter, and I look at it, and you know, I can definitely tell that everything's not being told. You know, it's being glassed over a little bit because obviously, you know, in that sort of situation, you know, you're not going to throw garbage in your own backyard, are you? You're going to be a little bit calm about it.
Yeah, oh, for sure. They've got to protect their own product, and that's what you do in their situation. If I was them as well, but we're not them, so we can do what we want.
Game on, game on. This is right. This is what's going to be so good about it. All right, on the show today, this is one of the most talked about topics is the Mustang.
Yeah.
As well, pretty controversial. First two-door.
Can't
For
wait
a
to get
long
onto that
time
one.
Introduced back in. Yeah, there's plenty to talk about there, especially just lately as well with all the parity issues as well. We got Formula One, MotoGP, TCR. So there's a bit there for everyone as well, but let's launch into this Mustang.
Hang on.
Seriously.
Before you go, you've had a bit of time on your hands lately. You haven't been doing too much. You've been pretty quiet. You're not getting away with it. What actually happened? Why aren't you on Fox anymore? And tell us what went down, because everyone's blown up, and it's the first time I've ever seen you more popular than Craig Lowndes with the fans. You always had a good fan base, but Lowndes was up here, but they weren't happy.
No, it's actually surprised me a bit, and look, it's very humbling too. I mean, even Julia said, geez, I didn't realise you were that popular, and all of a sudden she thinks I'm a bit of a star now, you know. So, yeah, look, it was out of the blue. It was around Christmas. I got the call. Yeah, seriously.
You didn't see that coming, mate.
Didn't see it coming. I dead set.
So you knew Craig's coming in, and you think you're set to jet.
Well, I knew he was coming in, but no one in TV land knew where he was going to pop up. I thought, oh, okay, pretty popular guy, you know. He was going to be an ambassador for the sport and hang out in corporate suites and, you know, kiss babies and shake hands and do all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
No one sort of knew, but towards the end of last year, everything was good. Fox had a great year, and you know, overall, I thought, okay, you know, it's back on. We already started talking about what we're going to do for 2019 as well. So naturally, I thought it's all right. Go away on holidays, get the call while I'm on holidays. You'll no longer be needed.
From who? Who called
you? One of the heads.
Oh, right.
At Fox, that's heads up.
So what about all
sports.
your colleagues there, mate? They would have been straight on the phone, wouldn't they?
Well, that's, I've got to tell you, Paul, amongst the whole lot, that's the most disappointing part about it. Like, I haven't heard between the three organisations, whether it be Supercar, Supercars TV and Fox, apart from that initial call, I haven't heard from any of them. And I thought, look, after 4 years...
What about your teammates, like Scafie and Murph and those guys?
Murphy is the only one that's called me. That's why I like New Zealanders. Murphy is the only one that actually called me in the new year and actually said, oh, look, you know, just, you know, bad deal, you know, and all the rest of it. I hope I'm not going to get him into trouble about that. But, you know, he was genuine when he called me up. I haven't heard from anyone else. You know, a couple of drivers, Lee Holdsworth, but I help him out a little bit here and there.
Yep.
So Lee called me up, James Courtney. That's it, amongst the whole industry, amongst all those. And look, I'm not
Sounds like it's more ruthless than motor racing, that TV
man,
industry.
I'll tell you what. And look, I think it's what annoys me. I reckon it's a lack of respect, Paul. You know, I'm not asking for the gold Rolex.
Casio
would have been fine, no problems at all. But but just someone ring up and say 4 years.
So I sense you're a little bit pissed off about it, mate. I'm going to stop you. We've got to move on. We've got to give the people what they want.
But no. 4 years of doing it, you reckon you would have got a call from someone and said, look, thanks for your help. But anyway, they got a shiny new toy, and that's the way they're rolling.
Oh, he's doing a good job too. So Craigie fits in, and from what I've seen so far, he's not you. He's got a different style.
Totally understand that.
I don't think they're as independent what they were, but
you can't be when you're still in the saddle, and you've got to still get association with.
Well, he does have a holding contract too, I think.
Well, that's right. How can you not?
Well, you can try, and people are conflicted, and
but that's that's not what I'm upset about. I'm not upset that Craig's in the saddle. That doesn't. It's probably, like I said, the lack of respect from everyone else that was involved in it.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, okay, if that's the way you're planning to play the game.
Yeah. So you're like me. When I watch it, and you probably haven't watched it, but I'm happy to see Craig doing a good job. You know, he's done so much for the sport.
Look,
so
like I said,
there's no animosity.
No dramas there. Just the way it was handled. And look, at the end of the day, it's a small roundabout, mate. I'll meet those people on the way around.
Given the massive reactions from all the fans on social media on all three platforms that I covered, I think we've covered it off, and probably time to move on, mate.
I reckon it's time to move on, Paul. And speaking of moving on, Mustang. We've got to talk about that, because the most talked about race car since I don't know when, and obviously because being a two-door as well, back into the sport.
We do have history with two-doors, but
a lot.
Yeah,
long time ago.
Yeah.
Long time between drinks before they put this in. And look, I get it. It was always going to be a challenge bringing a two-door into it and trying to get the parity right, because completely different aero and all the rest of it. But the biggest question I got is they've jumped on with the parity stick so fast and smacked it over the roof straight away, literally, with all the weight that they've just put into it.
Well, they haven't put it in, it's where they put it.
Where they put it, yeah, well, true, where they put it. Is it too early? I mean, did they just build a better mousetrap and they get penalised too early for building a great car?
For sure they build a better mousetrap, and the COG rule didn't exist in the rule book until a couple of weeks ago when they worked out there was a big difference. So obviously the Mustang doesn't fit the roll cage height of the platform that everyone has to use. So in supercars you don't have sporting parity, you have technical parity. So all the cars basically have to be the same. And that's allowed them to verify the word I'm looking for, adjust
That'll do.
adjust the shape of the car from the OEM product.
Yeah.
In the meantime, they've had to make a lot of non-factory panels and parts, which has led to a lighter car. They knew exactly what they're doing. They put the weight down low, and they've got a pretty big advantage.
But is it getting away from the whole, because you look back into early days, and when I came into it when the VS Commodore was there, the car looked like the road car. Your race car looked like a road car. I mean, we got an image up here. Follow me on this one. Pointer. I mean, have a look at it up here, Paul. I mean, there you have a standard Mustang road car, and then you have the race car.
Well, if you look at the glass house in the windscreen area, that's probably the only part of that car that needs to look a bit goofy to fit the rules. But the drop nose and the smaller headlights and the smaller grille and all those other parts are just been made to make the car go faster.
I get it with the roll cage, because you can see the difference here with the side window compared, so it's a lot higher.
That's got to fit
because the roll cage is right up the top there, so it's obviously got to fit it. I get all that, but when you even look at the bonnet shape and how, I mean, look at the headlight position. I mean, it's almost, a quarter down the wheel. That light is actually on top of the wheel. It's just the general shape. Are we getting away too much from, looking like a road car, and it's almost looking like a sports sedan now? Is this becoming a sports sedan category?
Well,
and should it head that way?
Maybe.
As well?
I don't think. So the DNA of the sport was the car you could drive, and people still think that that's what it is.
Yeah.
And even right up to the ZB, even though there's some non-factory panels on there, they can still fit. The bonnet will still fit, the headlight will fit, the hatch will fit. So there's parts of that car where you can take the road car and bolt it on, but this has nothing like it. But I don't think the Ford fans care. They just want to see the thing go fast.
Well, that's true. That's true. So again, so I come back to this parity thing, and they jumped on it so hard and so fast. You know, did they move too quickly, or is it right that they're bringing the Mustang back to the Commodore and the Nissan, or should they bring the Nissan and the Commodore up to the Falcon and make their cars better?
I don't know. I think they've got some more testing to do. Obviously, to me, when you look at that car and the way it's built, it's just like, oh wow, what have they built here? This is not a touring car anymore. It's a silhouette race car.
Yeah.
Supercars have got to do some work, and I think they need to rein it back in, or give the other guys a leg up. But
they were just so fast, Paul. They were just so fast.
Well, the thing would have run away, mate. Like,
yeah, I know, but okay, we'll then roll into the Nissan.
Yep.
Right, roll into the Nissan Altima. Look, for the last several years, they've been battling away with that thing until eventually, and I'm sure it's because of lack of results, Nissan ended up getting out of the sport. Then why didn't they give them a leg up, or bring all the other cars back down to the Nissan? Why did that not jump all over that? Why, after a couple of meetings, bang, they hit the Mustang? What about the poor old Nissan and Kelly Racing belting around all these years and getting, you know, pretty average results, and they freely admit that as well. You know, why didn't they give that a leg up early?
Well, they didn't do anything until they actually tested the cars. So they did the COG test and worked out there was a difference. And let's not forget the Commodore got a bit of a whack as well. So definitely the ZB had an advantage last year.
Yeah.
And now the Nissan's meant to be the benchmark, and they're bringing everything back down to the Nissan. So I don't know. Maybe we need to get someone off from Supercars to.
Yeah,
but the thing is, how did they let it happen in the first place?
Well, true. I mean, they built that Mustang to the rules and regulations. Let's not forget that as well. They built it. They had a rule book there, and it was built to the rule book. So it just, I don't know. And from what I read, a lot of the Ford fans are upset about it too. That they have hit it straight away, and they've gone, well, hang on, they've built it to regulations, had them sitting there in front of him. So, and all of a sudden, oh no, it's too fast. We'll bring it back. Did Penske just doing a better job as well? That's the other thing as well. Should you be penalising all the Mustangs when maybe one team's just doing a hell of a better job?
Well, there's no doubt there's a Scott McLaughlin factor, for sure.
There's half a second by the looks of it.
If you look at any team he's been in, from Gary Rogers and the Volvo, even with the Commodore, to wherever he's gone, he's worth 3 or 4 tenths.
Yeah.
And in qualifying, maybe even a bit more.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of that for sure.
That proves it at Phillip Island. I mean, I got the sheets here, and yes, everyone, I do wear glasses. All right, I do wear glasses, so no jokes about the glasses. All right, thank you. Keep that offline. Scott McLaughlin, 29.5 in qualifying. It's half a second faster than Jamie Whincup. But then the rest of the times are actually very close. They're all within 1, 2, 3 tenths. You know, right up to position 8. So again, that's the Scott McLaughlin factor you were talking about. Same on Saturday. I mean, margin was like 4 tenths again. You know, you can't go penalising a car when it's actually a team and driver might be the influence.
No, they're not. And we don't have sporting parity in supercars. So there's no lead in the saddlebag. It's not the Melbourne Cup. They're not going to handicap him.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you they'll be doing some aero testing and some analysis or CFD on that car, and I reckon it'll get its wings clipped.
You reckon it will?
Yep.
Can you imagine the Ford fans are going to go off their brain?
Well,
they're going to go off their brain, mate, if they do any more to it.
Probably.
It's not a good look, especially when they're trying to bring Ford back into the category as well.
Yeah, but I think like the organisation that built that car, and Ford and Penske, they had to be known they really, really push the limits of the car, and I just think that's the way they operate. They go, I'm going to make this thing and see how long we can get away with it for, and if they trim us back a bit, we've got a plan for that as well. I reckon they're 3 or 4 steps ahead. It's nothing that they wouldn't have come across before, given the opportunity to build a car. Let's go for everything. Let's see what we can push through. The guy on charge of the technical department was obviously asleep at the wheel, and let that come through. He doesn't work there anymore. He now works for Camps. New guys in the technical department, Adrian Burgess, Campbell Little, they've come to the job after Christmas and gone, what's going on here? I reckon they're doing a fair bit of work.
Well, I talk about team stuff. can I throw something else at you?
Yep.
All right, as well. That I looked at the times. We just had the Phillip Island race, which Fabian Courtard, Scott McLaughlin, pretty well walked it in Saturday and Sunday's races. Triple Eight's times from this year were slower, right, than 2018 for the round of 2018.
For sure, they would be.
So they were slower. They were up to, I think, in one qualifying I saw on the Saturday, they were half a second slower in 2018, right? So they're actually slower this year.
Yeah, well, there's two things for that. Obviously, twin spring, Triple Eight were the masters of developing that, and I reckon Jamie Whincup was the master of driving the twin spring. So I think he's got a bit of twin swing fever.
Yeah.
He's still looking for something.
So that's the rear springs, because now all the cars changed to a one linear spring
One
instead
linear
of all
spring.
these
So
springs.
basically, you remember when we first got
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
I think we drove together at Phillip Island the first time I ever drove with the twin spring. I was like, this is like cheating. How long has this been going on?
Yeah.
And we had a great run. We started at the back, and then actually Roland come down and said, stick this in your car, boys.
Yeah.
And away we
So
went.
this is my point to it, that Triple Eight was slower this year than
Yep.
they were last year at the same circuit on basically the same tyre.
Yep.
So all of a sudden, because a team has got it wrong mechanically, nothing to do with aero, mechanically they're slower, because that's all that's changed with the Commodore is the
Yeah.
spring setup. So all of a sudden they're pointing towards the Mustang and
Well,
nobbling
I
it more.
think you've
So
got to look
you
at.
can't do that, because it's a
Well,
team.
you're forgetting
team
Erebus,
setup.
mate. You're forgetting Erebus, and who had the best Commodores on the weekend was Erebus. So, if
And
you-
not too far behind Coulthard either.
Yeah,
on
not too
Sunday
far,
race.
not too far behind Coulthard. I think Anton obviously did a good job, and for me, I reckon those guys like Hazelwood and Anton, who don't have a lot of time on a car on a dual rate spring and a relative experience from the Dunlop series on a linear spring, they're not looking for something they don't know about. So.
Yeah.
They're just tuning the car to what they know, and I guarantee you the guys at Red Bull looking at the Mustang and trying to catch it, and they're just having too big a swing.
Oh, yeah.
They're having too big a swing, and it's
right.
knife edge stuff, and
That's
I go,
right.
we need to get there, and you know it yourself, you go, I'm looking for that, and you don't find it, and you go
I
backwards.
think you've got to be careful with that, not to just jump on this parity bandwagon too early.
Yeah, but you miss it. It's not sporting parity, mate. It's technical. So that
But they're just looking at times, Paul. That's what they're looking at is the Mustang's way far. You got to put the driver percentage in there. And team doing
you
a
look
better
at the
job.
in-car camera of someone driving the Mustang, you can tell they're having a pretty easy time of it.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
it's better than the Falcon. Put it
Right,
that
and,
way.
and you look at someone in the Commodore, you can tell they're wheeling it.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done technically. It can't be a knee-jerk reaction. They've got to
not at
go
all.
and take some
Not at
measurements.
all.
And this
Yeah.
is territory that supercars haven't had to cover before.
Yep.
You know, the teams always self-police because they needed to race each other. And I was on the board for several years there, and where technical decisions were made, and the board had to sign off for it. And you come out of that room, you have myself, Larry Perkins, Roland Dane, Tim Edwards, representing the teams, and you'd sit there and you'd fight and push for what you wanted. But at the end of the day, you walked out of the room going, well, I can't take the piss too much because I've got to race that guy.
Yeah.
No disrespect to the Penske organisation, but they're not in that zone.
Yeah.
He's like, what? Let's go and race. But the thing he needs to be careful is that he mightn't have anyone to race against.
The way it's going.
The way it's going.
Money by speed.
Money by speed, and it's a great organisation, and we all look at it. But man, you got to be careful, because if I'm a team owner going, I want to get back into the sport, I can't compete against that.
Now they're talking wind tunnel. Talk about tearing up some bucks.
Yeah.
They're talking about wind tunnel testing all these things. They were going to put one. They announced they were going to put a wind tunnel in Australia here somewhere. I didn't even know there was one capable of fitting a full-size car. It's a couple around. Now they're not because of time, and now it's still. I think were they talking about sending one over to America?
Yeah, well, you do. The best ones are in America. They're NASCAR. They're in Charlotte, North Carolina. They have a moving floor as well, so you can simulate.
And you need that.
You do that. The one down at the university down in Melbourne doesn't have the moving floor.
But why would they do that, Paul? Because I've just found out, right here at Norwell Motorplex, you've got a wind tunnel.
We've had one for a while, mate. How do you think we used to make you so fast?
Oh, can we go over and have a look?
Yeah,
I want to go
fire
have a
it
look.
up, mate.
Yeah, let's go have a look.
Says going in here. Satellite should pick us up. So we've got it undercover here, disguised.
Wow, dude, I never realised you
Pretty
had
good,
this
isn't
here.
it? Hey?
Yeah, cool.
Aussie ingenuity, mate.
So, run me through, how does it work?
Well, you've got to have the right fat content on the chops on the barbie.
Okay, yeah.
And
So that gets the smoke going.
that's the smoke that trails over the car that
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can see where the downforce and...
Hey, can we have a go?
Yeah, yeah.
Let's check the aero
Well, let me get
on the
the,
show.
let me get the barbie fired up and get a bit more smoke going.
All right, okay. Right, yep. Hit it, dude. More down the front, Russ. Want to see the front splitter. Yeah. Beautiful. Right. He needs a bit more downforce on the front.
Yeah, well, it is the old model.
It is.
Wait till we get the Mustang in here.
Oh, can't wait to get the
We'll
Mustang.
sort it all out.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good job. Let's have a snag.
Chops.
Chops. Oh, welcome back to the Enforcer and the Dude. I'm blown away, dude. Get
I'm
it?
blown away about how good you are at this.
Oh, really?
4 years of Fox Sports, you're fantastic at this, mate.
Oh, thanks,
But
mate.
what about that technical piece we got out the back there?
That is the Great Australian Wind Tunnel, isn't it? By far.
It's ingenuity, mate. It's like the Hills Hoist.
Yeah, it
The
is.
Victor Mower, all that stuff.
Good thing about it too, you can get a feed after you've done your wind tunnel testing.
Yep. Snag on the barbie and do a bit of wind tunnelling.
Nice one, nice one. Very good. And look, I want to throw in as well, like, don't forget, everyone out there, this is our first show. Don't forget to send us back your feedback. What you like, what you didn't like, what you want to hear, any of the subjects that we've been talking about as well. Make sure you send the information back, because like I said, right at the beginning, or what we said,
Yep.
this is about you guys as well. We want to answer questions or anything that you have. So fire it down the line. It'll get to us, and we'll take notice. Unlike others, we will take notice. Formula One, mate.
Yeah.
I've got a big question for you, dude.
Yep.
Daniel Ricciardo, massive move of his career, leaving Red Bull, very competitive team, great association. They wanted him to stay there, right? The Bucks, or being competitive?
Did they want him to stay there?
Well, I know the other driver didn't want him staying there,
Yeah.
the Dutchman, but I think they did. Christian Horner, from some of the comments I've seen from him, they thought he was going to stay there. I think he was really taken back.
They thought he had him boxed in.
They thought they had him. They thought they had him. But a reported 48 million, or do you stay where you are for less pay, being a Red Bull, and be more competitive? Big risk, but big money. Which one would you take?
For me, you follow the money. There's clearly a bias at Red Bull towards Verstappen. He can't hang around there and just get treated like you just did.
Top that. yeah.
And then put some money in his pocket, mate. Do a contract that's going to buy him a bit of time, show what he can do, and maybe bring Renault up to the thing, and then try and get a seat in Mercedes or Ferrari.
Just risky though, because all you need is how cutthroat that game is.
Yeah.
A couple of years in the wilderness, and see you later. I mean, yeah, he's gonna have nice toys and a nice yacht and nice houses, but
I don't think he's worried about that.
Still like the nice number one trophy.
You're not measuring his performance based on those three other teams. They're going to measure his performance based on what Renault's been doing and his teammate, Hulkenberg, and then what he can do. So if he can put some dollars in his pocket, show that he's still world-class driver,
Still going to be all right.
buy a bit of time,
Yeah.
try and get in a better seat.
I mean, I thought it was a ballsy move. That took a big pair of brass ones to run that. But then again, 48 big ones is pretty hard to knock back.
Yeah, and obviously he was sick of getting messed around by Red Bull. So
Yeah. MotoGP, my whole time. I mean, we both love GP racing. I mean, we're big MotoGP fans.
For sure.
As many people are out there. And I'll tell you what, Valentino Rossi, can you believe he's 40? He's second in the championship. He stepped on the podium. I think there's only once this year he hasn't been on the podium. Man, what a role model for the Grey Army. So good.
Yeah, you know what it was like driving when you're that age, and you went into your 50s, and it does get harder. Your reflexes go, but one thing you do
Patience
have,
becomes less.
one thing you do have is a lot of experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's getting him through, and he's still fast and he's still pushing the young guys, and he doesn't fall off as much as them, which brings me back to the other point. I reckon a lot of other riders could have gone on longer in their career, but they always got cut short by injury, and he hasn't had a big injury.
That's true. And with that, I mean, you look at someone like Lorenzo, for instance. He's injured at the moment. Yeah. Marquez is winning races, and Lorenzo's up the back of the field because he's so busted up really bad.
Yeah, you look at Mick Doohan. He probably could have gone for another 5 or 6 years, but injured.
We're going to have to get Mick on the show, you know.
Oh, he'd come on.
He's going to be one of our guests because I tell you what, he'd have some stories. Both on and off track. So.
Yeah, he's got some rippers.
Oh, I reckon he would be. Hey, big news. News. TCR, touring car racing.
But before we go, we've got to talk about Jack Miller's performance.
Oh, true.
Texas on the weekend
on
the podium.
That's pretty sharp.
Yeah. So given the better bike, he's got the latest spec Ducati, and he's starting to step up. So
I still think he should have been on the factory one too. I think they gave it to the wrong guy there. Dovizioso for sure. He's really good. Jack Miller should have got that second factory seat. But he's still got.
I reckon it's not a bad spot, mate, because he's got the same bike, a little bit of pressure off him. So it gives him some place to hide a bit and just get his confidence back up. But if he keeps going like he's going, it's his ride, isn't it?
Stop avoiding TCR, mate.
Oh, okay.
I don't think you're a fan of TCR. Look, I am. You know, I've got it written down here. Has it got legs? I reckon it has. I mean, it's market relevant. Yeah, they're pretty cool looking cars.
Yeah, they look good.
You know, like I said, I reckon the things look good. You've seen them recently in Malaysia.
Yep.
You reckon they didn't look
by themselves as a car to watch, you know, around the circuit? It didn't sound particularly aggressive, and something we're used to as Australians to listen to a V8 roaring past. But once the racing started, it was great. The racing was good. There was plenty of guys passing each other and actually got into the race. But what you need to understand about this is people think that this is the manufacturers are pouring money into this category. Yeah. They're putting a little bit of money in on the world TCR stage. There's some teams getting some money, but throughout the world, there's massive numbers of these cars, and you buy them off the manufacturer to drive. So if you look at all the teams out here, it's Hyundai customer racing. It's not Hyundai factory racing.
Yep.
So the big trick for me is how do you get Australian manufacturers to start spending money in that segment? And if they can do that, they're on.
But this is probably the only category that's relevant to try and get that manufacturer support here in Australia.
For sure.
I believe that's the only one. It's young, they're hip cars too, you know, so all the young crowd, I think, will follow this category, which I think is important, and that's what the manufacturers target. The manufacturer, the young guys as well, you know, that are going to run these things, and the followers as well. And like, let's face it, the 25 segment, that's what they want to flog cars to, because that's how buying the small hatches. But I should point out with this as well, and again, I look at all this feedback coming through social media and everything, and I see there that, you know, people will refer to it as, TCR competing against supercars. I think people should get that out of their heads, right? Yeah. That it's not a category competing with supercars. And I don't think TCR...
Well, if we could drop a bomb on super utes and put that in place, that would be cool.
Probably, yeah, but this is its own category. It's not competing against anyone. It's its own category. It's just different, you know. So I think every time a new category goes in, don't think it's there to try and undermine supercars or go on top of it. It's not that. It's just so we should embrace it. We should embrace it as just another category, another breeding ground for young kids to come into that is more affordable as well. I think, like I said, I think they're cool. And you've got a few names in there. You've got Bright, D'Alberto, Pither have all been announced in there. So you got, I think, the co-driver brigade.
Or Ingall.
What's that?
Ingall. Did you make a drive?
I'd have a steer.
Would you?
Yeah, I'd have a steer. I reckon that'd be pretty cool. You know, I'd probably like to get behind the scenes a little bit more with it because, like I said, I reckon it's got relevance. But I'd have a steer.
You've driven front-wheel drive touring cars before?
Yeah.
Actually drove for Roland Dane?
Yeah, I crashed it too.
Did you?
Yeah. So it was a Vauxhall Vectra.
Similar sort of horsepower. They were pretty exciting cars to drive.
They were actually all right, and I think that's what you got to get your head around is that think of the best racing that you've ever seen and been in, and I reckon it's Formula Ford. How good was Formula Ford racing?
Well, we did have a good time back then.
Yeah, we did have a good time. Yeah, again, that might be another segment. But the Formula Fords were so good. They're underpowered, under-gripped, but produced the best racing. And that's what I see for TCR, because it doesn't matter how slow or fast they are. If there's 20 cars, nose to tail, just battling the hell out of each other, that's entertainment.
Yep.
I reckon that's entertainment. Doesn't matter about the speed factor.
No, I 100% agree. The speed factor doesn't matter.
So I reckon they're pretty cool. One thing I wanted to ask you about, there's 2 teams been announced. Gary Rogers Motorsport and Kelly Racing are going to be running TCR cars.
Yeah.
How will that go down with supercars? I thought that'd be an absolute blow up. I was surprised they were even allowed to do it through their franchise agreements.
Well, there is a shareholders agreement that it could contravene.
Really?
It depends on how you wanted to interpret it. For sure, you could be asking some questions, but if the house was in order in supercars, those guys wouldn't be doing that. So they're obviously looking to diversify.
Yeah.
And if you look at what Triple Eight have done, they're trying to diversify. They're up in Asia running a GT program. So I reckon it's not dissimilar to what Triple Eight are doing. They've just chose not to do it in their own backyard.
So you're saying that these teams are running it to make $1 to keep the other side of the workshop running?
Well, I don't think anyone's in motor racing to make $1. Like any dollar you're going to make, you're going to spend. You know?
It's a good way to make a large fortune small.
Look, from what I know about TCR, the budget's probably $300,000 a year to run a car. So even if you could get 350 to 400, and you've probably only made 50 to 100,000 a year. Running 3 cars, you put $300,000 in your pocket. It's not going to prop up your supercar team, is it?
No, true.
So,
well,
are they trying to lure the manufacturer in?
Well,
there's a couple of reasons to do it, but it's diversifying. And
I just find it interesting. I'll tell you what, I reckon there would have been a couple of interesting chats in the back of transporters.
Hell yeah!
From the heads of supercars to those 2 teams to saying, "What the hell are you doing? This isn't a good look." Yeah, but I'm sure that would have gone on.
Yeah, but. The reason,
but if you can do it, why do it?
Well, if I was Todd Kelly and I got told that, I'd say, well, mate, sort the shit out and make our championship what it should be, and I won't do it.
Yeah, pretty easy.
Yeah.
If you're making a good enough dollar, why would you do that?
Yeah, the teams are bleeding, mate. No one's making money. Yeah. The cost of racing is going up. So Supercars needs to rein itself in and get themselves back on track, and that won't happen. And I think it's heading in the right direction.
There you go, folks.
Yeah.
Heard it first.
Yeah.
That's it. We've got through the whole lot. Mate, this has been cool.
Been good, eh?
It's been cool. But again, I'd like to point out, we want input from the fans. This show is about you guys. I'm sure there'll be a lot of Eddie the experts, that are in the TV side of things and commentators and all that. They'll probably watch this. They may watch it.
This is not an industry forum. This is
it's not.
For the people, mate.
They'll smash us up. They'll say how bad we are, and they'll say, "Oh, that was a waste of time." We don't care, because it's not about you guys. It's not about industry. It's about the fans. This is what's been asked for. Like I said, especially on my side of things, everyone's been saying, "Why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you do this?" Every Fred and Joe's doing a podcast at the moment, so we still think it's important to have a bit of visual, and I think this is cool.
Well, you've made your dream a reality, Rush. You come to me a couple of weeks ago and said, "I want to do this," and I said, "I think you're on the right track, mate, and congratulations."
Who else would I do it with?
I don't know, who else is going to lend you their bar?
Well, that's true. And a 2.1 kilometre track. And that's the other thing, guys. Don't forget, we've got a 2.1 kilometre circuit here. One of the best facilities, if not the best facility in Australia.
Yeah, I want to do some stuff on track with you.
Let's do some gear. If you've got ideas, send it down the line, because seriously, we can do some lunatic stuff around here. We can have a lot of fun. But again, it's about you. Send it in, and mate, we just like it. We should always end these sort of shows with, you've always got life messages, I always think of Jerry Springer. We used to do that segment in the end.
Yep.
So we should have, just to close, a little
I've got a good one for you.
Okay, lay it on me.
And it's, you don't know what you don't know.
Is that it?
That's it, mate. And it come to me because weekend I was working with some rookie drivers and started showing them some stuff, and I realised they don't know what they don't know. You should point them in the right direction.
There you go. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't.
something to live by, dude. Okay, thanks again for watching this. This is the Enforcer and the Dude. We're done, we're out. You get out of here. See you next time. See you guys.